Welcome back to Orlando Out of Context. I'm Brian.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we have Alex and Joey of Hungry Pants back with us. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty good. We are coming to everyone from quarantine. So if you're listening to this post-quarantine, we are in quarantine, the year 2020, when we were locked in for however long we're going to be locked in for.
So the last time we spoke to you was, back in September, episode 49. You were telling us all about your business, all the great things that were to come, and we've been there and done that. So how did it go?
Good. We opened a business.
All the good things came.
All the good things came. It was really great. We opened it during a really actually tough time of year to open it, which is the holiday season. And we feel really good about it.
Yeah, it was, we were open for, when did we talk to you? In September, you said?
September, yeah.
So we opened late October, and then we were able to go all the way until mid-March, until the whole COVID hit. But in that short time, it was really, I think it exceeded kind of what we expected. And so, we found ourselves in the position of scaling up with staff, extending to a 7th day and serving brunch. And hold on one second. My dog.
I think too, like, you guys, when we talked in September, you were like, this is our timeline and we're hoping the timeline goes. And the timeline hit. You guys hit your timeline pretty much exactly to when you said that you wanted to open. Like, it was pretty accurate from when you spoke to us and to the actual time that you guys opened. So things must have went relatively smoothly. And then
we're having dog difficulties.
That's fine.
It's quarantine.
How many animals do you have? I see you're always posting pictures of animals, but
we have 2 cats, 2 dogs.
Oh, do they get along?
Sometimes. One dog and 1 cat don't get along for some reason. But we're an all-boy house, all boys.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
So I was just saying, like, how smoothly it seemed from our perspective, that you guys followed that timeline that you had told us originally, and you guys were open and ready for business in that time frame.
Well, I'm glad we make it look smooth. Joey and I are really good at setting goals and meeting them together. It's like one of our strengths as a couple. But I think one of the timelines that we did shift was when we launched brunch, because we were initially going to launch brunch much earlier. We were trying to launch it in January, and instead we ended up pushing that back until March.
Right.
But still, running a business is really a daunting task, and there's a lot of things that go into it. But you guys make it look like so easy, and it seems like you're so successful. Everything's going great. That's
we
great.
Also had a really good crew with us. So we, 2 of the people that worked for us from the beginning sort of were in our Yum Yum universe. One of them worked for us, and the other we just knew during those days. And so I think that really helps when you have people that you can trust and depend on.
For sure.
Because prior to the pandemic, especially in the restaurant world, business was really good. And so you found a lot of culinary people and servers being able to be really choosy about where they work because they can make really good money. And so it's hard to find people that you can depend on.
Right.
And so from day one, we've had a really good crew. And for you guys, and for those of your listeners who've been to the restaurant several times, you've seen the same faces. And that really helps with a small business in the beginning, because the processes and the procedures that you're trying to establish, you can only do that if you have consistency in your staff. So that was really, I think, been a key element. Alex and I are definitely the face of the business, but we could not do it by ourselves. I'd have a stroke.
So speaking of, working together as a team and getting things done is we've been enjoying watching your personal Instagrams, and you guys have been renovating the house a little bit.
I'm shook it. Okay. I'm going to have you come over to my house because I have a whole bunch of projects that need done. Shelves that need installed, things that need hanging. I had no idea you were so skillful with the tools.
I have to tell you, in moments when you don't feel like you have full control over what's going on, sometimes it helps to just throw yourself into like a skilled project like that takes a lot of detail and time, because it keeps you distracted and focused on something that you do have control over.
Yeah.
I think from my perspective too, it now I understand more of like, okay, they actually did the restaurant themselves. Like they have the skills and they have the talent to.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people realize it, but Alex, and we both did, but Alex truly has the skills in carpentry. And he really built the entire restaurant. We did not hire, other than plumbing and electrical and the guy that did the floors, we did everything. And
so Alex, where did you learn that? Like, where did you get those talents?
My father is a talented carpenter. My grandfather, my Chilean side of the family, they're all very creative. So I don't know.
I love the little booth that you built in the kitchen. You should build one of those in the restaurant.
It's funny. We actually contemplated building in booths in the restaurant, but we wanted to have more flexible floor plan. But when we bought our home in College Park, it's a really kind of a historic. I'm going to say 1940. That's when it was built. That's really not historic, but it's a 1940 cottage, and it needed a lot of work, but it was work that we enjoyed doing, and that was one of our visions. So it's exciting to see it at least completed now.
Yeah, it looks good. So we know that we're kind of in this place now where you guys have closed. So what made you decide? Because I know you were holding on there for a while. You were kind of holding on, and you had, I think you
doing some curbside.
Yeah, you were doing curbside and takeout, and then I think you stayed open and you kept the dining room open right up till the end, if I'm correct, till when you closed. I don't think you limited the dining room at all.
We did the last couple of days. We closed the dining room off, and that's when we ultimately made the decision to close.
So what made you? That's kind of my question: is what made you decide to close? Because we see other businesses that we're still doing takeout and still doing delivery and stuff. So what made you guys come to that decision?
It was a public safety concern. So. And I can't speak for every business owner, but we found ourselves in a position where the local authorities and elected officials were making, if you remember that week, it was really a really bizarre week. We were all sort of gripped to the television or to social media, waiting for the next announcement, whether or not certain things were going to be canceled, postponed, work from home, stay-at-home orders. And so it was literally evolving around the clock. And each time they did an announcement and a press conference, there was a different set of rules for restaurants and a different set of rules for consumers and customers of restaurants. And those guidelines were fine, but it's operating under the premise that everybody is really informed and paying attention. And that was not the case. Right. So we found ourselves in a situation where we were scrambling, trying to keep up with the latest guidelines, but then customers were coming in, and you have the spectrum of people, coming to the restaurant, people that are very concerned about the virus and being very precautious. And then you have people that think it's a conspiracy and are annoyed that they have to do all of these things to order food. And so it was becoming an issue public safety wise. Plus our staff felt uncomfortable. We have somebody that is over 60 years old that felt uncomfortable coming to work. And so ultimately, we made a decision. We need to just take a step back before we can take a couple steps forward here. And no one during that week knew where this was going.
Yeah, and I think during that week there was even something like that some kind of government official said one thing, and then like 6 hours later they changed it back to something else.
Everybody who I love as a leader he said in one day that bars couldn't stay open, but then they could, but then they couldn't. There was some sort of switch. And I mean, and we have friends that own bars in Orlando. They were horrified.
Not to mention earlier that week, before there was any sort of official decision made in the state of Florida by our governor to close dining rooms, our president had already been doing press conferences about everybody should stay out of restaurants. I mean, it immediately impacted our business. So we were staffed for regular business, hours and volume, and making those statements public without having any sort of official plan in place was actually very damaging in that way, because you didn't know what you should be doing as a business.
So that was the other reason we closed, was you have this public safety concern. And then on top of it all, how do you even run a business on that sort of, daily news cycle? You can't staff against that. You can't order food. I mean, you guys have been to the restaurant. Everything is made from scratch. You can't prepare food and you can't purchase ingredients not knowing what the next day will bring. Restaurants they build schedules and inventory based on patterns. Monday lunch, you do this. Saturday dinner, you do this. But to Alex's point, each announcement, whether it was from the president, the mayor, the governor, it was literally completely affecting our business on a daily basis. So, in the restaurant, people were scared. People were more scared the first few weeks than I think they are now. I think everyone is a little bit more, people have masks, they have gloves, they have toilet paper. Those first few weeks, people were terrified, and there was a sense of panic. I mean, we saw our business go down 60, 70%, which, it's hard to even stay open.
Yeah, I think the whole situation is kind of unprecedented because we never experienced anything like it. So for me, I was like, well, I better buy groceries, right? Because we don't know if even the grocery stores, at one point we didn't know if the grocery stores were going to be open. So it's this thing where we just, there's a lot of unknown, and there's a lot of unknown still.
Yeah, 100%. And we did operate a week with just to go. And although we saw a significant increase in our to-go business, I mean, it still accounted for maybe 50% of the business that the restaurant was doing prior to. We were really happy with what we saw, and it was a great community support and everything. But ultimately, what really should lead to your decision is public safety.
Right.
And at that moment, it made sense for us to close and kind of protect all ourselves, our employees, our customers.
So one of the things, on a happy note, that you guys were doing to stimulate business at the restaurant was you brought cupcakes into the picture.
We were really excited about this.
So talk a little bit about how that went. How was it to, put the baking cap back on Alex and bake cupcakes?
I think that it was actually a lot of fun for us to offer, because it was just like a really nice, positive experience for everyone, right? Like a ton of customers came from back in the day to come get the cupcakes. It was fun for us to bake them. That was all positive. And it was something that we wanted to kind of play with through Hungry Pants at some point. And it just seemed to be the right time.
Yeah, a lot of people said, you got to do the cupcakes. But they're two completely different business models and two different food journeys. So it never really made sense to put them on the menu. Plus that was, it's like going back with an old boyfriend. Like, you broke up, you're done.
Yeah.
But
there's always something sweet about it at times.
Right.
Yeah.
You remember the sweet part. Exactly.
This wasn't so bad. And then
So, do you have the facilities to bake there in the restaurant?
We do. We have.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we do. We have the facilities to bake there. We don't have all of the. We didn't have all the ingredients necessarily, and all of the equipment that makes it easier to bake it.
When we had Yum Yum, we were baking in large we were baking from scratch, but in large batches. we were doing, thousands of dozens of cupcakes a week. So we had mixers and ovens and equipment to handle that volume. So, we literally have,
an 8-quart mixer instead of a 30-quart mixer.
which for most people is a large mixer, but when you're baking,
Makes a
we
big difference.
sold like 1,000 cupcakes that week.
Yeah.
Wow. Really? 1,000 cupcakes?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, when I was there, because I was there that week, and Rosie from Rosie Roman Orlando came, we went together, and I think we were kind of impressed with how it was busy that night, the night that we were there. Like, people were coming in and out, and so obviously definitely not as busy, right, as normal, but I mean, it was nice to see that people were coming out.
Yeah, that's ultimately why we've made the decision to reopen on May 1st. Just because we know that there's a business there. We have since adapted, our staffing model, our business model to serve that level of clientele. So we have a takeout window that we're setting up. We are staffing accordingly. We're purchasing food and preparing menu items accordingly. So there's not going to be waste. We're not overpaying people to be there. And so we're in a much better position now. But, you have to take a step back and really be a business person and not just, a cook or a cashier. You have to really think strategically and say, how are we going to get through this? Because we're not necessarily getting any help from outside.
And something that Stephanie and I noticed was, I think you've like the window that you're going to be using, you've painted kind of around that, and you've made it really kind of like eye-popping and appealing.
We when we found that location for Hungry Pants, that window was like one of the things that we're like, oh, down the line we'll make this like a really cool takeout window.
Oh, really? So you had already thought about it?
Yeah, we were like, oh, it could be a dessert window. We could do 100 things with it,
Yeah, it was there for a reason.
It was there for a reason. It's kind of fun that we get to use it. I'm excited.
Actually, it's funny, we always planned, and about a couple months prior to the whole COVID thing, we had launched third-party delivery apps. And so the idea was that could be a takeout window, but it could also be a space for the third-party delivery drivers to pick up the food so they don't have to come to the restaurant and kind of get in the way with all the people in line. And so this kind of just forced us to get it together. That's the other thing. We already offered online ordering. We invested in that technology when we opened. And so we have a lot of the back end stuff already figured out. We already have the relationships with the third party delivery apps. And so we're really poised, I think, to recover from this. You just need that little push from the community to come out and support. And I think we're good.
So you released a little like sneak peek of, what's maybe to come on May 1st. What are some of the items that we're looking at here? I see cupcakes on the list for sure.
Yeah, so the cupcakes will be back temporarily. I don't think Alex do them permanently.
I don't want to get stuck being a cupcake baker full time.
Well, I think that you can make them special. So you do them for a while, and then you make them special. Even if it's like quarterly, you make them special or something.
Yeah, or how do you take those recipes and those flavor profiles and put them in a way that's a little bit more modern and now, so figuring out how to do that after all this. But for now, the cupcakes work. They're a great add-on to a meal, and also we've changed the cupcakes a little bit too, because our menu is a plant-based quite a bit. So half the cupcake flavors will be vegan as well. So we've just modified the recipes from Yum Yum to make them half of them at least plant-based.
So we're going to lean a little heavier into those recipes rather than do all of our classic flavors.
I think that's a great idea, and to stay on brand for Hungry Pants.
We also have a new soup that Alex created during quarantine. First of all, I know it's how it sounds. Like Alex is like making me cupcakes. He's making me soup. He's building me
building you closets.
I feel like such a diva. I just want to say that I change the cat litter. I take out the trash.
And you're very good at all those things.
And I carry my weight in this house. So.
Well,
he sits on the bench. He put all the clothes away after the closet was filled.
Yeah. I activate what he does.
Yeah.
I eat the food. Someone has to do it.
You're the taste tester.
Yes. You know, that could be very
So what
dangerous.
kind of soup are we talking about here?
It's a summer white bean soup. It's really, really good. It's a really light broth.
It's got fresh ginger.
Oh my God.
Fresh
Lemon
ginger,
juice.
lemon juice, some mirin, which is like a wine, like
Asian wine.
an Asian wine. So it just has a really nice subtle flavor. It's a great summer soup.
And these giant white beans, they're huge and they're really hard to find, but they're beautiful.
So with the soup, is that something that you have to make every day, or is that something that keeps? How does soup work?
Well, soup. First of all, soup, you can make soup and it'll keep a couple days. So like you batch things at the restaurant based on volume and stuff like that. I think for to go, we'll probably keep it like really small batches of soup, and everything's fresh. So
I don't know if you ever had the butternut squash soup was very popular, and so we would sell out of it.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, and you can only make so much, and so we would.
I'd make like 2 services of soup, and we'd go through it in one service. Just because it was popular that lunch.
So people might be upset about the butternut squash soup, but the white bean soup is taste tested and approved by the resident diva here. We also have a new soda, and so if you've been to Hungry Pants, you know that we make all of our sodas from scratch. And so they're not fountain sodas, but they're a little funky and different. But this one is a hibiscus lemonade cooler. So it's made with real hibiscus flower, fresh lemon juice. It's really, really refreshing. So it's sort of like leaning into that summer flavor profile.
And may I add, that was a Joey Conacella creation.
Oh, very good.
With that, that's why it was so prominently displayed on
I
social media.
I ordered the hibiscus flower from Amazon myself.
Yeah, he did. He did it all.
So how does the hibiscus flower come to you?
Via Amazon.
No, I mean is it dried? Is it?
Yeah,
they're dried.
It's very much how the lavender's made. So the lavender soda that we have, it's lavender flower that they're just dried, and then you boil it down into a syrup.
So are you adding this soda to the collection, or are you replacing a soda?
This is a permanent addition.
Okay.
Oh.
Because lavender is my favorite. So, well, I'm sure this would be great, but lavender is so I don't want lavender to go.
No, we're expanding.
Okay, good.
The sodas are pretty popular, and that's something else I think we've learned from this is that, and you saw a lot of restaurants doing this quickly, and that is, how do you sell your product to people that don't want to order food from a restaurant? And so you saw a lot of folks packaging their sauces and their dressings, their sodas, their cocktails, mainly cocktails. And so I think one of the things that has come out of this is, I think we need to make sure we have our product available even in times of crisis. So, something like can we bottle our sodas and sell those in a 6-pack? Can we bottle our dressings and sell those, and put together a wholesale distribution model? So, if the restaurant's closed due to a crisis or a hurricane, you could still go to Publix and get your favorite Hungry Pants accoutrement.
A restaurant that I follow in Atlanta, Storico Fresco, it's an Italian restaurant, and they had on their Instagram that they're actually sending frozen meals out across the country. They're shipping.
Wow, that's a big deal.
They're shipping their meals out.
Yeah.
I'm sure it comes from compensating for the the lack of traffic into the restaurant.
You definitely have to look at a scenario like the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks that we've all kind of been living through, and you should come out of it with at least a couple really strong lessons, whether it's in life or it's, I learned that I need to do, keep myself busy throughout the day. Otherwise I'll go stir crazy, or it's in business. Let's think about other ways that we can activate our product in times when the restaurant is not available as a distribution model.
Right.
I think one of the frustrating points for Alex and I was that we were so new that we really were not in a position to be hit with the pandemic. No. Not that anybody ever is, but we, as a new business, you leverage everything you have to open, and you don't turn a profit for some time, especially restaurants. And so, a lot of these restaurants that have been open for several years, I think have at least been able to have some sort of cash to, put out a bottled beverage or a bottled dressing. We really we weren't really in a position to do any of that. And so, But, we were able to take that time off and work towards, some new exciting things. So we feel good about where we are, but it was frustrating in the beginning. And unlike Alex, I'm not always productive. Sometimes I'm laying in bed feeling my feels.
But I'm sure, like, on a side note, I mean, you guys have been working your asses off for months now, so I bet it feels good to like have a little bit of time to breathe, even though you feel all this pressure on your shoulders. It is good to like, just relax.
Yeah, there's definitely, we rediscovered our house, which is really nice because we haven't been.
We live here.
Oh, what a nice little house we have. Time in it, our backyard, just things that we've worked really hard on and for. And it has been nice to, even our neighborhood, walking around the lakes and doing, it's beautiful. But
one of our neighbors said to us, we were walking the dog, she was like, "Oh, I thought y'all moved." And I was like, no. We did not move.
No, we just opened a restaurant.
Yeah, we moved to Hungry Pants.
Yeah.
So right before you guys closed, you guys started brunch, and I had the opportunity to come over and see what brunch was all about. And I was extremely impressed with your brunch menu. It's huge. I think it's huge. The shortbread biscuits are really good. The eggs, the tofu egg scramble is really good as well. So talk a little bit about brunch, because last time we talked to you on episode 49, brunch was in the distant future. So talk a little bit about brunch for those who haven't been. We know that it's not going to start back up right away, but
when we do, brunch game is going to be strong, I'm sure. Like Orlando is going to show up for brunch. We're going to get all dressed up. We're going to be ordering the mimosas and the drinks and all the things. I guarantee it.
I think you are 100% accurate on that.
Overall, our first brunch weekend, so we did these brunch events, like, which were really nice and controlled, which were awesome. Our first brunch weekend was so well received, and overall it went really, really well. We ran out of eggs, which is like a cardinal sin on our second day of brunch. But
well, you know what, Alex, your portion on the eggs was kind of a large portion, so maybe you need to.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah,
I think the brunch portions in general were. They were large, and so that's one of those things where you have to look at and say, are people finishing is it too much food? Is it not enough food?
Is there enough color on the plate?
Yeah. We were, we have a plate called Build Your Own Brunch, and you can do, you can make it as healthy as you want or as kind of like carby and greasy as you want. And so when people order the full, eggs, toast, sausage meal, it looks very brown.
Potatoes.
Yeah, potatoes.
Yeah, that was my experience.
That's what I'll be ordering when I get there the first time.
It's very good.
I wasn't able to make your brunch. I can't really remember why, but when I come, I'll be ordering the list of carbs.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing I noticed, because that's what I ordered. And basically, there can be color on the Build Your Own Brunch, but I chose nothing with color because I wanted to taste the specific things.
Yeah,
and
so things are the less colorless things.
So I, there wasn't, but I don't know. It's a build your own thing. So.
You know what's beautiful though? That fruit plate. That fruit plate had.
Exotica.
I love how like some of the fruits were cut in pretty shapes, and like, there was one fruit on there that I've never seen before. It was like white with little black speckles.
Dragon fruit.
Yeah.
It's funny. You go out to eat, and the fruit plates can be such afterthoughts of melon and honeydew, and like, I don't know, they're just never exciting. But fruit is one of the most exciting food groups out there, especially here in Florida. And so we thought, if we're going to do a fruit plate, let's like do it Hungry Pants style. And that's when we decided to do things like dragon fruit and star fruit, which is cut like the stars. And even the seasoning, which is a pico fruta, it just adds that little bit of texture and flavor that you don't typically find.
Yeah, I think one of the things you'll notice is that it's not berries, and it's not just overloaded with melon. There is watermelon, but otherwise it's kind of it's
a tropical plate.
Exotic fruit,
And so it's funny that weekend that we we ran out of eggs on Sunday, we sent out one of our employees to Publix to go get eggs. And it was, like you remember kind of where you were when things happened. When she came, and we were in such like a restaurant bubble, working really hard and long hours. She came back from Publix and she said, they're out of eggs. And the guy said to me, don't you know there's a pandemic? And it made me realize that, like, oh crap, like things are going down. And that's when, that next day was Monday, and that's when that whole week changed everything. But that moment when she came back and said, they're out of eggs. At first I was like,
you were like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is real.
Flashed to me like refunding like
oh god,
3 different people because they couldn't get eggs.
It was also like our first Sunday ever open, and the good news is we are happy to be open on Sundays because there was a lot of people out and about, and once things kind of get back to more normal buying patterns, we'll be happy to be open on Sunday.
Yeah.
So also with the brunch menu, that's kind of where we've leaned into our baking past a little bit, and so like you said, the shortbread biscuits, we have the croissant, we have banana bread, we have these miso chocolate chip cookies made with a miso paste. And so, we're doing baking and scratch baking, but it's also being done with a little bit of a twist.
The
miso paste.
The pancakes are good too.
What's miso paste?
Miso paste? Miso
like
is
miso soup?
Yeah.
Like miso soup.
It's the paste.
I can't imagine that in like a cookie, like something sweet.
Hashtag miso curious.
Yeah, what's the update on the situations with the straw? Are we still straw curious, or what's going on?
We are. Well, I actually took our conversation to heart, and we actually ended up going with we went with a biodegradable straw, but it's not a paper straw. So it's that plastic. It's called PLA or PAL? PLA. And it's basically a biodegradable plastic that's made.
Good.
It's a good straw.
Good. I'm happy.
Straw.
Yeah, you just don't want to ruin a nice crafted soda beverage with
right.
crap straw,
We know.
Just thinking about you, that's all.
But I was gonna say the pancakes are really good too.
Oh yeah. So that's actually this wonderful mix that we were introduced to that has such fantastic flavor, but it's gluten free.
It's brown rice flour it's made with.
I have tried to go through and make my own pancake mixes, and it really is like just superior. So I'm like, all right, done.
They're good.
We also had something else. You really need to get in the mix because you go through so much of it. We still ran out on Sunday of the pancakes. Yeah. They were very popular, but they are also the key with pancakes is use real maple syrup. I know it sounds like simplistic, but there's a difference between the Aunt Jemima like that sort of syrup and the pure maple syrup.
And listen, I'm someone that as a child, I loved butter taste in Aunt Jemima syrup, but it's got so much corn syrup in it, and it actually hurts your tummy. So if you do 100% maple syrup, it's actually better for you.
I'm down with the maple syrup.
Yeah,
it was everything I tasted for brunch was really good.
Good.
Oh, I love that.
I know.
It's a big menu. It's a huge menu.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a proper brunch menu.
Yeah.
Very proper.
Brunch is one of the things. That's why we were scared to do it was because so many people have so many different preferences when it comes to brunch, and so it's hard to do breakfast and not have a large menu just because there's so many different directions you can take it. But I think we set it on a good profile.
You know what we didn't talk about though? We have really great brunch beverages. So we do this sake Bloody Mary, and that is super, super good, made with rice wine. And of course we do a classic, what's it called?
Mimosa. We also do frosé.
That's what I want to try. I didn't get to try that because I didn't know, because I didn't flip the menu over to look at the back at all the beverage options, but that frosé sounds good.
Frosé is the taste is good. We have to work on the consistency of it. It was almost too frozen when we served it the second day, and so we're just working on some of those. But I was drinking it by the gallon, so.
Yeah, we were all drinking.
Oh, I'm getting so hungry for delicious food. I'm so tired of cooking at home.
Mission accomplished.
He's a really good cook though, so at least we have that.
Oh, you are? Oh, the secret is out.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're hired.
I might take you up on that. So talk a little bit about, we talked about the window. So what are your hours of operation going to be when you start on May 1st, which is Friday?
Yeah, we're going to do, we've changed our hours and from what they typically are, and we're just going to do 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. So just to keep it really simple, so people, you don't have to, they open different times on different days. Just 11 to 8, Monday through Sunday.
And you're bringing back some of the staff, or are you two are winging it?
We're actually bringing back all of the staff. We have 1 week, we're kind of ramping up to it. So there's 3 people that won't be coming back next week, but then the week after that, they'll be on the schedule. But they're not all going to have full-time hours just because the dining room isn't open. It's a different business model. We don't need as many hands, but we're going to give them as many hours as we can. Everybody that worked for us was maxing out on hours. We were so busy. And it was hard to find good people. And so we'll bring, it's just they're not going to be at the same hours just yet, but I think we'll get back up there.
Yeah, you will. This is just the first stage. So I think that we'll hopefully be back to normal by at least at the most the end of the summer, hopefully. So
yeah, we hope so.
Well, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Step by step, right?
But you know what? You guys are great, and you're so positive, and that's what it takes to succeed, to be able to pivot and think out of the box. And nobody in this world that has made success didn't come at a price. That they all had struggles, right. and that's what's going to help build your business much stronger.
I need to hear that once a day in a positive before I go to sleep. So
we're going to record this and just keep playing it.
Yeah. You got this. I promise you. I have faith.
So
and we're cheering you on all the way.
So is there anything else we should know before going into reopening?
No, I would say that we have the takeout window. You can order at the window on site, and we have seating that is spaced so you can sit and wait in shade. You can also order on our website. We have a really great ordering system at www.eathungrypants.com. You could call ahead your order as well. And then if you want to go curbside pickup, you just let us know. We'll run it out to your car. And then we also have delivery through Uber Eats, Grubhub, Postmates, and DoorDash. And we just installed Apple Pay today. So now it's contactless.
Oh, wow.
Just a little tap.
Yes. Tap.
Also, not this first weekend, but the following, we'll start a modified brunch menu for takeout. So we'll do some teasers, and there'll be some fun collaborations with some popular local Orlando bakeries on there too. But yeah, that's really it. Also, if you don't already follow us on social media, please do, because this really helps get the word out. And if you do follow us on social media, a little double tap on an Instagram post or a share really goes a long way. It's word of mouth. Even when we first did this podcast, we found so many followers and eventually customers just from the podcast. So, we're on Instagram, we're at Eat Hungry Pants. And on Facebook, we're facebook.com/EatHungryPants.
Well, we will definitely, I will be seeing you guys this weekend. I don't know if Stephanie is working or not, but
I think I might be off Sunday.
Well, you can get her a to-go box.
All I want is cupcakes and maybe Polly Tots if that's on the menu.
And a biodegradable straw and some miso
Yes.
paste.
Miso.
Well, thank you guys so much. We love that you're in the community, and we're happy to have a follow-up. I'm sorry that the follow-up had to be kind of this topic, but I think there's silver lining to everything, and there's a lot of positivity out there still. You just have to, look for it and find it, and I think you guys have, and we appreciate you coming on.
And let me know when you're free to come do all my hanging and the shelves and whatnot,
You gotta be careful. I might complicate it.
Whenever we get into an argument, I'll just send them your way.
Yeah. When Joey's having a down day, I'll be like, give me some.
All right, guys. Well, until next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Follow us on Instagram at Orlando Out of Context. Instagram is where you can connect and interact with us, as well as see photos and videos related to this week's episode.
Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and iHeartRadio.